Hey everyone.
Is that your opening?
What's up?
That's it?
It's Spider-Man's
That's your
opening.
entire opening?
We're up for Spider-Man.
I
It
guess
is
so.
Spider-Man's opening.
That is true. That is
Underoos!
Underoos?
And the entire thing comes... I was like, what is happening? What? And then I saw Spider-Man. I was like, oh, that's great. But why do you say that? All right, that's fine.
Because he looks like he's wearing...
And because he looks like he's like 12 years old, I guess. Which he kind of is, almost.
Actually, there is a brand that called Underoos. It's
Underwear
like,
called Underoos.
Yeah, I know.
it's like superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah,
stuff.
they have a bunch of sets like Spider-Man. Okay.
Welcome to the podcast.
Exactly. We should probably
Yes,
say that
but-
first. Welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. We're going to be talking about movies coming up this year, 2016, that are not related to comic books. Why do you say? Well, because we've already talked about the comic book movies
Last week.
in a previous episode, as you can see clearly.
And we got Matt here again.
Hello!
And
Matt is here.
Derek and
That's me.
I'm me.
I'm Derek, and that's Travis.
And I'm
I
Matt.
think I'm Travis, yeah.
Probably. Anyway, we do have movies here that we can talk about that are not related to comic books, but are still nonetheless very exciting.
I mean, not as exciting as Civil War, but...
Probably not, but some of them may be decent. In
One
some.
could be Star Wars.
That is true. Let's find out. So I just have a list here in no particular order, but it is in a particular order. It's just not in any particular order that means anything, is what I meant to say. In other words, let's begin.
How about we start with Star Wars? I know it's at the end
You
of
want
the
to
year,
start with
but
Star Wars?
I'll
Okay,
start with Star
well,
Wars.
let's do that then.
Rogue One.
Start
Star
with the
Wars
best.
Rogue One. I think that is probably the big thing that people are excited about.
Maybe?
It's
Are we excited for that?
I think that I might be. I'm not sure though. I'm not obviously not as excited as I am for like the main Star Wars movies, but it seems like it could be really interesting. I wanted a story that is set between 3 and 4. That is definitely what I wanted, and I think this one is. It could be the best story that they chose. Like I don't know what would be. What do you think would be a more interesting story if they're going to?
They have the other solo stuff, but
Yeah, because they're going to do the Han Solo movie, which is going to be good, and they're going to do what's the other one? Maybe Boba Fett movie.
There's a lot of rumors.
Yeah, there's a lot of
rumors.
rumors, but there's like
Obi-Wan or
Han
Boba
Solo.
Fett,
Yeah,
so-
Han Solo is like confirmed, I think, right?
Yeah, that's
And then
confirmed.
Rogue One is obviously confirmed.
I mean, this is good. I would like to see, as much as I think it's cool to see the Death Star plans. The problem with this movie is we know what's going to happen at the end.
That is true, but I mean that's the problem with most prequel movies, and I'm usually okay with it as long as everything else is really good inside of it. Because obviously all of these characters are all brand new, aren't they? Like, are
Yeah,
there any?
they are.
There's no one that
There's
we
a
know.
rumor that Darth Vader is in there.
Exactly, but the main cast is all completely new, so you can still get invested in these characters, and you don't know if any or all of them are going to make it out alive. So it's still kind of an interesting idea, where it's like this group of people that are coming together trying to take down the Death Star, but not the same way that Luke did. They're trying to take it down like
Before.
exactly. It's a different kind of idea.
Here's what I would want to see that would be completely different, but based off like the old Knights of the Republic games.
I love Nazi.
Make a movie that's like set 1,000 years before the current
Yeah.
Star Wars thing, where it doesn't matter what happens because
Yeah, like when you play it.
it's so far in the past that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too that I've heard, and I think they definitely could do that at some point. I think that Disney has already said we're not going to stop making Star Wars movies for a long time. They've already said like it's not just going to be these 3. There's going to be a ton of Star Wars movies that are coming out. So I think they probably have ideas like
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I'd say after episode 9 ends, you're eventually going to probably do a sequel trilogy to
Yeah,
this sequel
I
trilogy.
imagine.
At some point, you probably want to go
Back.
back.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that could happen 1,000 years before.
It's totally possible that they could do some weird stuff with that.
Well, eventually we're gonna get to the Battlestar type of thing where this is all a long time ago and obviously far, far away. Eventually we're gonna catch up the current time on Earth time.
It's just the current day, and they're like, oh,
This
now I
was
understand.
yesterday.
Not so long ago in a galaxy that's just this one. That we're
No,
in.
but I mean, they're gonna have a Star Wars movie where they're gonna be searching out for new areas and they're gonna stumble across Earth.
I mean, it definitely could happen. I was kind of expecting there to be a twist ending to this movie because of J.J. Abrams. I was like, gonna be like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna like randomly have something blow up that shouldn't have blown up or weird timelines? And I'm really happy with obviously the way the Star Wars movie turned out. But for this one, I think it's a great idea to have anthology movies that are separate from the main storyline. And I think this is a good starting one because it's one that people like. I mean, obviously, I think the Han Solo one is probably the one that most people are excited about. But I think this one is exciting for me because it's a thing that's if they do it correctly, it could be like a very different style than.
Well, to me, I was
What do you
interested as soon as they said, they pretty much said it's like Saving Private Ryan meets Star Wars.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that to me, like, if that sounds intriguing to me.
That is-
I've heard rumors of like there being like there's an imperial like the spy like espionage kind of stuff going on. Someone
Yeah.
inside the Empire trying to take it down.
And you'll see like Darth Vader in his heyday before he
Yeah,
ever met Luke, like
exactly.
truly evil.
which we never seen in the movies.
Yeah.
We kind of saw. We've seen it, you know.
You kind of seen it a bit in like the cartoons that are going on now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, exactly, but
Rebels,
not in
yeah.
not in the movie.
Yeah,
main
so
movies.
I'm very excited for that. That's
I think
true.
that could definitely be really good if they do it correctly.
now here's a question: because anthology film is something I read, will they have how much will they differentiate it from normal movies? Will they have the same Star Wars theme? Will they have the same opening crawl?
That's true.
Will they make it different?
They could change it if they wanted to.
They did say John Williams is not doing the score for this movie. Someone
Yeah.
else is.
Isn't he?
The last movie was the last Star Wars
Yeah,
film he did.
John Williams is.
He's not doing episode 8 either.
Yeah, which is depressing. But I mean, obviously they can use some of.
I'm
the,
sure they'll use the same
yeah.
opening for the scroll.
And I feel like some of the like music, like I think
Yeah.
that they kind of have a theme for like didn't they have like Ray has a theme now,
Yeah.
and, like
Yeah.
Finn, so they can. I'm sure they're going to use those in some way.
That's me wondering, this anthology films, will they also have an opening scroll?
Yeah, because they definitely might
different?
not, and they could, because obviously when they did Star Wars, everyone was like, okay, we can't change that part. They have to have the opening. They have to have a long time ago. But for this one, they don't have to do that. They could do something. They could open it with a weird, you know, shot of a. You know, it doesn't have to be like this is a planet. We're zooming down to the planet. That's how all Star Wars movies start.
Yeah.
They could start it some other way.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars always has that that iconic sort of like there's a crawl and then it's just space and then it pans over to something and then it zooms in and it kind of slowly starts and then there's an action scene usually.
Well, episode 7 was a little different. It actually had the planet being like
Yeah, and that was
shadowed by the Star Destroyer.
that was really cool actually. I love obviously the opening of that movie.
I'm
It's
more
great.
excited for this one, and I'm more hopeful for this one. It's like the because Han Solo, you have to find an actor
Yeah.
who can play a young Harrison Ford.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I think he could pull it off. But
Just get Shia LaBeouf. Okay,
yeah, but trying to find some, yeah,
No,
no,
thank you.
but trying to you have to fill those roles. That to me is gonna be a little harder. Well, this is a whole new cast.
Yeah,
It's very easy to make new characters.
I think it's going to be hard to do the Han Solo because, like you said, they have to get a good actor to do it. And if you don't, then that's like the whole movie.
Yeah, you
It's-
ruined it
you
right
ruined
there.
the whole movie. Whereas this one, it's like, okay, if there's a character or two that aren't very interesting or very good actors, it's kind of okay. They can move past that. They
Yeah.
can just focus on other actors that are better, and you can be like, okay, well, I like this villain, I like this part of the movie. The other one is going to be like, no, this movie is about Han Solo and nothing else.
You have to make it work.
So if Han Solo isn't good in that movie, then it's done. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
The biggest problem I have though, because it's set between two things, we know that any character we meet is not going to be there later on.
I don't know that that's... Oh, it's true, because they can't flat... It's not like they would... I don't know, aren't some people really old in... Like, what time exactly is
Well,
the set?
The set I think was right before New Hope.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, so, I mean, are there... There's still people that are alive from back then?
They kind of show some of those generals and stuff, but
Well, the way they talk about like the Star Wars Rebels series right now, they discuss like where are they, Return of the Jedi. You see all the Rebel planets finally come together and fight the Death Star.
Yeah.
Where are they? You don't see them in that get together seeing the ship. He said, well, they could be just off camera, right, sitting
Exactly.
right there.
So, like,
you
there's
don't-
still... It's not, like, so far in the future that these people couldn't show up in episode 8 or 9 or something.
yeah.
So that's interesting to me, that they
Yeah.
could do that if they want to, but they don't have to. They can keep it completely separate, and they can kind of say, these characters, we can kill them off if we need to, or we can let them survive, and
Right.
there's kind of different... These characters, the audience doesn't know. It's, it'll be interesting to see how they do it.
You know, an interesting movie is a book I read a long time ago. That it was a spin-off of after episode 4, 5, and 6. It was called Wraith Squadron, and it was Wedge went off and formed his own separate X-wing squadron of like new people and stuff. And they were like just going around and saving different planets from things. I think that'd be cool to see.
There's so many different things that they could show, like, between any of the movies. That's
I
like,
think what would be a cool one. I recently read like the Marvel comics, the Darth Vader comic they have, a Darth Vader movie, just
Yeah,
him
that would be totally good.
in his heyday.
Yeah.
I mean that would be like that.
They could get Ian McGregor and play Obi-Wan on
Yeah,
Tatooine.
'cause I've been reading like the comic of it, and like this is a pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's pretty awesome. It's Vader right in his heyday. It's pretty awesome.
Again, it's the kind of thing we haven't seen in the movies. It's like when you watch Star Wars, like the original, New Hope and those kind of things. Darth Vader is old, and he is kind of past his prime, and he's feared throughout the galaxy because of what he has done, not
Right.
because of what he is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it, he's not really that old in the prequel trilogy. He's like 25 or something, or
In his
26.
20s, so he'd get to be.
Yeah.
He'd be in his 40s.
I mean, he's
like,
aged
late
badly.
40s.
40s. By return of the Jedi, he's probably in his
Yeah.
50s.
I mean, the dark side has obviously corrupted him and made him like look how Emperor Palpatine
Oh,
went,
yeah.
and like just in Episode 3 when he like went, you know what I mean, like that
Yeah.
shot, he like suddenly was like
Yeah.
wrinkled and old and looked terrible after like that one moment when he like killed Mace Windu.
Yeah.
So it's like the dark side corrupted him and made him age
Plus, he
faster
was
than you
fell
should.
into a volcano, so that
Yeah,
doesn't help
and
you.
also, yeah, he got burned and scarred, and he looks awful. Lost half of his body and is more machine than man now.
Yep.
Clearly.
It's okay. We can't rebuild him. We have this
I
technology.
mean, apparently you can, because that's what they did. But yeah, no, I think that could definitely work as a kind of different idea.
do
than
you think
the
we'll have
original
Force
Star Wars.
users in this?
I'm okay if they don't. I'm okay if they focus this as like it's like a rebellion type thing, and it's like it's not even about anyone except for the Rebel Alliance.
If at all, I
Kind
think it's
of.
going to be Darth Vader. I think he'll be
Yeah.
the only one.
I don't think
Well,
it'll be like
maybe they'll have like
Jedis
a
or-
Force sensitive that just like
Maybe.
has never been trained,
That's
never
interesting
knew
too.
about the Jedi. Just is kind of like it has like a good like
Yeah.
sense, and then Darth Vader ends up killing them after like sensing the Force. and
Definitely
then
could be that. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's possible. But yeah, I think that could definitely work really well.
Do you think we'll see the Emperor at all? And his like,
Yeah.
Prime
Yeah, again,
before-
it's the kind
They
of
could
thing
bring
where
in Ian McDermott again.
it would be totally.
I
really
would
cool.
like be interested to see Coruscant when Empire had
Yeah,
it. You
I would
never
love
get
to
to
see
see
that.
that, so that would have been cool. But who knows?
I think Coruscant is an interesting place that they can show more of for sure.
Show the underground dealings of Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It'd be like the underground New York City, only an entire planet.
Underground.
Well, like the comics, which is now canon now, the Marvel comics of it, the Emperor made the Jedi Temple into his Imperial Palace. That's his palace
That's
now.
pretty crazy. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I want to
Okay.
see more of the Jedi Temple. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good too. They haven't shown as much except for obviously a little bit in the prequel. That's obviously an interesting thing that they can show at any point. There's a lot of stuff in between. Again, it's a decent gap in between. You know,
So,
Revenge
like-
of the Sith.
Maybe. Here's what I want. Like try like kind of like Rebels where they show like some Jedi that are trying to get trained and
Yeah.
stuff. Show someone like going in and looking into the ruins of the Jedi Temple after the Clone Wars.
That would be definitely.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I would watch that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's coming out in like December.
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 Yeah, it's actually
yeah.
again it's all this year. It's pretty interesting.
Hard to believe it. We haven't seen any trailers for it yet. Or anything,
Yeah,
have
no,
we?
I think again they've done.
There's a rumor the first one will come with Civil War, but we'll see.
Yeah, they've done a lot of obviously the first Star Wars movie they did that really well in hiding what was going on in that movie, and I think it was perfect.
Yeah.
The trailers that we saw were really good for that movie,
Mm.
but after you saw the movie, it turns out it's like, oh, didn't spoil anything of the movie.
Yeah.
They showed hardly anything. Most of the main plot points were kept hidden.
Disney's
Yeah.
good with that.
They're very good.
Yeah, especially.
DC's not.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that one.
How about Star Trek next?
Yeah, we definitely could do that.
Or Star Trek, The Fast and the Furious, as I would call it from the trailer.
Definitely.
I was not impressed by the way it was, marketed in that first trailer. To me, they're trying to be like, oh no, like Guardians of the Galaxy using the music and stuff. Like, no, that's not Star Trek.
yeah.
But according to the director and things, that wasn't portrayed very well.
Yeah.
So I'm still optimistic about it.
I think it's interesting. So obviously, I think the three of us kind of have the same opinion that we really enjoyed the first two ones
Yeah.
that they did. I think they were really quite good. Like I haven't seen the second one too recently actually, but I
Probably
tried.
since you saw
Yeah,
it in
exactly. I
theaters.
think I saw it once before actually. Once as well. I think that I might enjoy the second one more than the first one, but
Yeah, I
not
did.
not a lot. They were both really good.
I have never seen the original Wrath of Khan, so I know this is pretty much just a remake of that.
Mm.
Yeah,
So I need to watch that to compare. And
that's
be
true.
like-
But in terms of like Star Trek and then like Into Darkness, I think that they were both pretty good movies, and it's like a good science fiction movie that felt,
Mm.
it felt pretty good. I liked it. I enjoyed it, and there was like Star Trek elements in it that made it seem more like, oh, this is I know that the Federation and the
Yeah.
And so many Star Wars elements in the second.
yeah, exactly. They had a lot of that kind of
So
stuff.
me not being a huge, I like some of the old Star Trek stuff. I was never a huge fan. So for me,
Yeah.
this was like, okay, it's pretty
I've-
cool.
yeah.
It's,
I've seen bits of Next Generation.
yeah.
I've seen a couple.
I
bits
like
of other
Next
things.
Generation. That's about
Yeah,
the only
that's
one.
my favorite one for sure. But I
Yeah.
haven't even seen a ton of those. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've seen a few. So yeah, like as a non-huge Star Trek fan, it was good to watch. It was easy to watch. I watched
Yeah.
it and I was like, oh, that was just a nice science fiction movie.
Yeah.
If it wasn't called Star Trek, I would probably still be like, yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah, it was.
I like it. What's the new? It's called Beyond, isn't it? Is that
Beyond.
the third one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Beyond.
The first
Beyond
time they're
the
finally going on their, was it 7-year mission or
Yeah,
whatever it
Which
is?
they're supposed to have been on for like ever.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is really interesting because it's obviously the main point of the original series.
Yeah.
And so I think that can work. as long as they keep it kind of focused. Like I said, the trailer doesn't seem to show a lot of what's actually going on.
No.
It's a lot of kind of jumping things, and I don't think anyone really knows what the plot is what I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
it's
like
like
it.
it doesn't seem like we do. So what you're kind of hoping is like they can go to like different planets now. They can be like, oh, we're on a mission. That's kind of what the original series was. Is we're out on a mission to explore, and that's kind of our only
No
mission.
Earth.
Yeah, it's kind of just to explore. That's all we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's just like new planets and people and saving people and.
Wasn't that what the Into Darkness, like the beginning of it started with, okay, we're trying to save this planet, but we're not supposed to get involved with
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Federation's thing of observing and reporting and not getting involved. But obviously, in the original series, that was the point: is that they couldn't just sit back when people are being attacked. They're like, well, we're gonna
Captain
stop.
America.
Exactly, it's the same. It's a similar thing. It reminds you of Doctor Who in a lot of ways. That's
Oh, yeah,
they're
the
like
Time
they're
Lords.
the Time Lord code.
Yeah.
That's kind of Star Trek and Doctor Who kind of have that similar idea.
And they both have the planet Vulcan.
Exactly, that's true. And no one knows who copied from who, really.
No, they said that if Doctor Who aired like a week earlier or something, it would have had Vulcan before Star Trek.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, that's the kind of thing that they're supposed to be doing. Is just kind of going out, boldly go where no one's gone before, explore planets, but not really get involved in anything. So that if that's what they're doing, then it seems like this one could definitely be wider and be like, hey, just making up new planets. This is a planet that we can go and explore, and this one is too, and they can do kind
And
of what they want.
This one's so important because the 50th anniversary of Star Wars or Star Trek.
Star Trek.
That's right.
Now, do you think this will be like the end of? I don't know what the contracts of these actors are.
I
Will this
don't
be the end of
either.
their trilogy, or
I
they do
mean,
more?
It seems. I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
Could they do like a
No.
reboot of like a Next Generation? They have Captain Picard taking.
I mean, again, I would love to see that.
That
That'd
would
be kind of
bring
interesting.
back the original
I mean,
and do another timeline thing.
like recast like
Yeah.
Next Generation crew. Now they're the new next 3 movies. Man,
Because
I don't
there's
know.
already so many rumors about like William Shatner maybe being in cameo in this movie,
Yeah.
possibly.
He wanted to be in all of them, but he wants it to be all about him.
Yeah, exactly. That might be what it is.
That could be it too.
But yeah, I think they could totally just get Patrick Stewart to do things randomly. Like that would be totally fine because they've already established that there's alternate universes and like Leonard Nimoy was around for a bit at the end of the first one.
But
so they
like,
could easily just bring Picard in there and just have him be like, oh, I'm from a different universe over there.
Find a new younger
well,
bold.
it's the
or-
same universe, different
Yeah.
timelines. Sort of, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I think it's a different. They just said.
If I ever meet J.J. Abrams, I'm gonna ask him to explain it to me in detail.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a different style of doing things than people in Star Trek. It's an interesting thing that when that happened, that people who loved Star Trek were a little bit confused and like didn't like it as much. But it's kind of interesting because the Star Trek series did do that a lot. They just didn't
I
do
think-
it with the main cast. Like they didn't make
Yeah.
a big deal of the main cast. Like there are alternate timelines, but they never really stuck into one of them for too long.
I think they would be mad either way because
Yeah,
if he kept it with the original timeline, well, you shouldn't have gone that direction.
Yeah.
So here he is. He resets the timeline,
Yeah.
and they're still.
I think it's a good idea to reset just because
Yeah.
then
You do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise he has to stick to the things. Otherwise,
Yeah.
people will say, "Wait a minute, that didn't happen because Kirk had this in the new series. In the original series, Kirk did this and this."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, okay, well then I can't write it that way," and he has to go back and change it. So now he can be like, "Well, I can kill off this character if I need to,
Yeah.
or I can do this, or I can change this." So I think it was a
Maybe
good
they'll kill
idea.
Kirk.
I mean,
again.
yeah, they can do what they want. That's what I'm saying. They almost did it.
Yeah.
It was close. And then Khan, which
See, they could have easily killed him and then had the next movie be like something else. But no,
yeah,
they
but I
had to
don't
bring
think
him
they
back.
wanted to do the same thing they did with like Search for Spock when they killed Spock
Yeah.
and then they had to
Yeah.
go out but he wasn't really dead, so they just had to go out and find him. People already compared this movie to Wrath of Khan so much they couldn't actually do exactly the same ending. So they're like, okay, let's change the ending. a
It
little
didn't
bit.
help that they like were sticking
Yeah,
to
it
their
was-
story.
it
It's
was-
not a Khan movie. It's
That
not
was-
a Khan movie.
It was really weird. They kept saying like, no, he's not playing Khan. I promise you. Like, look, you guys are going to be so surprised when you find out that it's just Khan. I'm sorry, guys. We just didn't want you to know, even though you asked us directly and we said no. We just didn't want you. I'm like, what? Why would you say?
Yeah.
You should say, well, you'll wait and see. It's going to be interesting. You don't say it's definitely not Khan and then make it so that it is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a weird marketing choice because then people were going in expecting there to be a twist, and then there wasn't. The twist was that it was right. You guys were correct.
You
in
were
your-
correct.
The twist is no, that was it. It was
Yeah.
Khan. So that was a weird choice.
Khan.
I want to talk for a little bit actually about the Finding Nemo sequel.
Finding Dory.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, it's finally back.
Indeed, because Finding Nemo, I was very surprised when I found out it came out a lot longer ago than I thought it did.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, I will have to check that and see what
What,
year did it actually
2004
come out.
maybe?
Yeah, it was like,
Something like that?
I think it was 10 years ago or more
Let
than
me
10
look
years
that
ago.
up right now.
Well, yeah, do that really quick. I think it was 2004, which is like, oh my goodness.
2003.
Yeah, see,
Wow.
I remember when that movie came out, and I remember seeing it, and that does not feel.
To me, it's definitely one of Pixar's like best.
Oh,
Like,
it's great,
Toy
yeah.
Story's
It's
there,
amazing.
and like Finding Nemo's like right underneath it. I think.
Yeah, I love Pixar stuff. It's like Pixar has not made.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you see Cars 2?
I did.
Yeah, see, I have not seen Cars 2. I've seen every other Pixar movie,
Yeah.
and I've heard that Cars 2 is not a great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was like to me, like,
Because before that movie came out, if anyone asked me, I would have said I don't think Pixar has ever made a bad
yeah.
movie.
Cars 2. Well, it did very well. Kids loved it.
Yeah,
Like,
the kids- yeah.
the issue was the adults didn't like it as much
Exactly,
because
which is
you
the
know.
problem. Because Pixar, that's what always
Yeah.
Pixar does. Is like, no, this is a great movie, and kids can come see it if they want to, because
Yeah.
it's kind of marketed towards kids, but it's
Yeah.
just a great story first off, before anything else. And that's like most things don't do that well. You have to make it's like, no, this is a really well written story, and that's what I think Finding Nemo definitely was. It was like, this is
Yeah.
an interesting story with funny characters and things happening.
Now, on a related note, just because it's coming out in a few more years, Incredibles 2, 2019.
Yes.
I mean, so I'm more excited about that because I think that Incredibles is one of my favorite
Oh, yeah.
Pixar. I think it might be the best.
Long
Pixar
overdue.
thing.
But because that's
So
coming out in
good.
2019, the first Incredibles came out in 2004. That'd be 15 years.
That's gonna be
Wow.
15 years. That's gonna be crazy.
There's also Toy Story 4 and
Yeah, Toy Story, like anything Pixar. Again, I think that they're gonna do it correctly. The only thing I have a little bit of a worry about is that this could be similar to what they did with Cars, in that
yeah.
when Cars came out, Cars was a great story. It was a great movie.
Mhm.
And more than anything, it was supposed to be about Nemo, and I mean, it was supposed to be about Lightning McQueen and about those people, but for whatever reason, the kids really loved Larry the Cable Guy and Mater and that whole thing.
Yeah.
So they made the sequel all about him, and most
And
people
didn't do
weren't enjoying that. This one, that's the same thing. I
But then
think.
they made
I feel like
planes too, like the spin-off.
yeah, that's true,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But I think for this one could be possibly a similar problem. Finding Nemo came out, and more than anything, the kids when they went to see the movie loved Dory. I mean, I liked the character of Dory too.
Yeah.
I liked it as well, but I don't think that it was the main focus
Yeah,
of the
that's
movie.
the only thing I'm kind of
Yeah.
scared about going in.
Is that they might do the same thing where they're like, oh, the kids love this character. Let's make sure we do all of the same stuff we did, but higher. They
Yeah.
just made him more of a redneck and made it more jokes about
Yeah.
that. So they might just do too much of her and not enough of everyone else.
Yeah. So-
But if they do it correctly, if
It'd
they
be
do the
very good.
story, it would be, great.
I'm still waiting for A Bug's Life 2.
Bugs.
I was just thinking about that.
Not-
That's like 1999
Never gonna be
or 2000 or
If
something.
I ever get that, I will
I
cry.
think it was their
I'll be so
first-
happy for it.
Their first movie, wasn't it? Pixar.
That was
It's like
no.
right after Toy Story.
Toy Story was first, and then Bugs Life.
Yeah.
I remember Bugs Life. I had Bugs Life comforters on. my
I
bed.
love A Bug's Life.
It was such a good movie.
1998.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that.
That's
in
what I'm
theaters.
waiting for.
I was 4 years old.
That was a really good movie. I love Toy Story was still my favorite one. I think.
Yeah, mine
It's
too.
so good. But I love Incredibles and.
Oh yeah, Incredibles is such a good movie.
That's so good. But yeah, so in general, we're all really excited about that one. And in keeping with sort of the same thing, Disney, Pixar, sort of Disney, they're doing a lot of live action type things right now. That's actually there's two of them that are coming out this year, aren't they? So I know there's the Alice in Wonderland sequel that's coming out.
Yep.
And then there's the Tarzan movie. And I think that's all there is right now. They have a couple more planned for the
Mhm.
future, but those two are coming out this year. So obviously, Alice in Wonderland has already done. They've already done the Alice in Wonderland live action thing.
Hmm.
What did you all think of that movie, the Johnny Depp?
I actually have not seen it.
Really?
Really.
I saw it when
I
it
keep
came
meaning
out.
to.
I thought it was all right. I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it was.
I'm
my
not a
favorite.
huge Tim Burton fan.
Yeah,
so
in
for
general,
me,
I really love Nightmare Before Christmas, but other than that, I don't think I can think of a Tim Burton movie that I really love.
because he had a particular style of things.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It wasn't a bad movie. I liked it.
Yeah.
But
And I actually think that this one could be better than the first one.
he didn't direct it. So.
Yeah, and also because I think that I actually read the book,
okay.
the second book, Alice in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, and it's really interesting the story of that one, which
Mhm.
hasn't been done, like Disney hasn't done
Yeah.
that before. So they can kind of just adapt the book directly and not worry about any movies that have been done before. So I feel like it could be better instead of having to be like, well, we need to have this character and this character because they were in the animated movie. So I think it could be better. It could be more of like it can go to like more of an action movie if they wanted it to,
Yeah.
which they might. It seems like they might want to.
Mhm.
As far as Tarzan goes, what do you guys think of the Tarzan movie, like the art animated?
I love that animated
Oh, I love
movie.
the animated
Yeah,
one.
I think that was one of my favorite when I was a kid. mostly
Phil
for
Collins
yeah,
music.
exactly, mostly because of the Phil Collins music in it. That I was like, this is such. I love this music. I had that like on my first MP3 player. Some of the first songs that I downloaded was the
I
Tarzan
remember that
soundtrack.
MP3 player.
Yeah, I have it right. It's like a little rectangular thing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I downloaded the Tarzan soundtrack because I loved it. And obviously there's been like several different sort of live action Tarzans that have been done throughout the years, but this one is actually going to be Disney doing it, and more based on their cartoons than on, you know, sort of the original stories. So I feel like that could be really good because I think
1999 that came out.
yeah, exactly. I feel like that one was just before 2000, yeah. And I feel like that can definitely work in a live action for sure. There's nothing you can easily do that, especially if they do the same sort of technology that they can do with the CGI kind of stuff that they have for like. I mean, I love the Planet of the Apes movies.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do something like that, that would be perfect for this kind of thing.
I'll say animal CGI has actually been pretty good for a while. Looking back at like Chronicles of Narnia, even Aslan and the Lion.
Yeah, they've done a
That was
really good
pretty
job.
good, and that was
and
like
I think
2005.
like the best have you seen the recent Planet of the Apes movie?
You can see that
Oh,
too.
it's
I haven't
so
seen that.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies from that
Awesome.
year. It's so good, and it's because of the CGI technology they have. Like Andy Serkis is amazing, and the way they make those animals have emotion, like in the eyes and the face, and they do sign language throughout it, so that they can, and they also do some grunts, and they start to learn to talk. It's really interesting to watch. And the final one that Disney's doing, live action, is actually The Jungle Book.
Which one?
Yeah. So basically, what's happening right now is Disney is doing a movie, Jungle Book, that's coming out this year. Next year, actually, Warner Brothers is coming out with a Jungle Book movie. So I have a little thing for you guys. We're gonna do a head-to-head right now. Ready? We're gonna play a game. Everyone at home, you can play with them too. So, who do you think from these two movies, the Snake, Kaa, would you rather have, Kate Blanchett or Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson.
Kate Blanchett.
Okay, so Kate Blanchett is going to be in the Warner Brothers one, and then Scarlett Johansson's in Disney. For Bagheera, which is like the Black Panther kind of thing,
Mhm.
that's kind of the thing. Would you rather have Christian Bale or Ben Kingsley?
Ben Kingsley.
I'd say Ben Kingsley too.
Yeah, that's in the Disney one. Okay, for Shere Khan, this one is actually really tough for me. Benedict Cumberbatch, Idris Elba.
Oh
They're
yeah.
both so good.
Oh man.
It's like, I love it.
I feel like that might remind me too much of the Dragon for Cumberbatch. Like I'm gonna say Idris Elba. I love him as an actor too.
No, I'll say Alba just because in the trailers we've already seen him,
Yeah.
and it looks good already.
Yeah, so Idris Elba is going to be in the Disney one, and then Benedict Cumberbatch in the Warner Brothers. Finally, for Baloo, Andy Serkis or Bill Murray.
I like Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
I think Bill Murray is going to be great because I think it'd be interesting. I want to see how Andy Serkis would do that.
Yeah.
Sort of it seems like it's supposed to be. Obviously, it's a comedic role in the original
Yeah.
animated thing, and obviously Bill Murray could do amazing at that.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Serkis is good at comedic too.
And then there's the directors, which is Jon Favreau for Disney and Andy Serkis for the Warner Brothers. And I think
Andy Serkis.
I really want to see Andy Serkis
Andy
just
Serkis
because
would
he
follow.
hasn't directed anything yet, and he's so good
He's
at the
good
motion
at
capture. He knows that
he'll know
industry.
How to do it.
Jon Favreau is a great director, and I think he'll do a great job. I think both of those movies will be really good. Honestly, they're both like those casts are like holy cow. They're both like
Yeah.
amazing casts. So I think both of those could do really well. I think the next thing we should talk about, Independence Day is coming out.
Oh.
I think that's like the summer movie that most people are kind of excited for because it's coming out in the summer, like in the middle of summer, and I think it's the biggest like blockbuster summer thing that's coming out this year. That's like right in the heat of middle.
That's
summer.
not coming out on July 4th.
Not quite. It's
There
almost.
is that.
But I mean, you can't. I don't think you know. I think it's hard to sell a movie on July 4th.
I
You have to
think-
keep
but
people
for
to
this
come
movie-
out. I mean, America for sure. But you need to have a good opening day, and they'll have a better opening day if they do it after July 4th, not on.
But it's before July 4th.
Oh, it's before. I thought it was
It's
gonna be.
like June 30th or something.
Well, either way, if they do it on July 4th weekend, I feel like the movie attendance would be down a little bit, just
Probably.
because people will be out doing parades. People are doing things on that day. I have not seen the first Independence Day in a while. Have either of you seen it recently?
Yeah, I watch it every 4th of July.
The only movie I actually do that with is Groundhog Day. I watch every
I watch
Groundhog
that
Day.
too. Yeah.
And then on Christmas, I usually watch Charlie Brown Christmas.
Right,
Usually, other than that, I don't really have any sort of traditions. So I probably should start doing that though. But I have not seen it in a long time. But I know that I do enjoy it. I
Oh, yeah.
definitely loved it
It's
when
such a good movie.
I
Okay.
saw it.
June 24th, Independence Day Resurgence comes out. July 1st is when Tarzan comes out.
I think Independence Day might beat Tarzan.
I think it might.
I
yeah.
know, but I'm saying they could have moved it and
It
had
could have
closer
been
to
July
could've.
1st. It could have been a little bit closer, but again, I think that they're probably picking a day that not a lot. You know, it's
Because July 1st, we're going to have some movie I've never heard of, but we also have Tarzan and the Final Purge movie.
yeah. I think they might try to that. Yeah. And what's coming out on the same day as Independence? Is there anything else?
Nope.
Yeah. See,
It's
they,
probably
they,
was.
just-
Less
they
crowded
pick
day.
it. They're like, hey, we're gonna be the movie that's opening on this day, and we're gonna get all the money.
And
Yeah.
hey, you got Jeff Goldblum.
I mean, yeah, Jeff
Jeff
Goldblum
Goldblum
is
is back.
obviously gonna be the best because Jeff Goldblum is great.
No Will Smith, but he's doing Suicide Squad at the time.
Yeah.
So it's,
Will Smith is doing a couple other things right now. And
He's going to cross over and
Yeah.
They did say the director of the movie said they killed his character off in the Independence Day universe.
yeah, it's interesting.
it's not
But
right.
I like okay. So I always forget. I don't know why. And someone told this to me recently. And I'm like, that's true. I always get Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman
Yeah.
mixed up. Which one of them?
Bill Pullman was in Independence Day.
Yeah.
That's right. I always like
He's
Bill Paxton.
back.
They look similar and they have very similar names.
They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
look too
They
similar.
look a little bit similar. If you see them
No.
side by side, someone showed me a picture and I was like, "That's Bill Paxton Pullman." What? And I did not know.
Bill Paxton was in Apollo 13 and Twister and all that. Bill Pullman was
Independence
Independence Day, probably most of other ones I can't think of, and Torchwood.
That's right. So who are like the main? Who are like the main new cast? I don't actually know that right now.
Liam Hemsworth.
Liam Hemsworth. That's right.
You got. I'm trying to think of. There's a new guy. I think he's playing the son of Will Smith's character.
Yeah.
You have a girl, and there's playing the daughter of the president.
Yeah.
She was in the first movie, I think, technically.
President Rosalind.
Yeah.
But like Liam Hemsworth, you think is the one they're trying to.
Yeah, I think he's
focus
kind of the
on?
main
Okay.
guy. I think.
And then
Jeff
obviously
Goldblum.
definitely the old cast that they're bringing
Yeah.
back to focus on them as well. Any trailer I've seen has looked great in terms of like the scale
Yes.
of it. Like it's like, oh, this is gonna be.
It's like, I don't
this is
remember
gonna be.
being that
Yeah,
big.
exactly. It's like this is gonna be worse than the first one. Like
Yeah.
we should probably made a mistake.
you know what I love about Jeff Goldblum's like roles and like everything I see? He just kind of is a commentator of everything going on.
Yeah, he
That's
is.
true.
It's kind of like,
It's just all the
oh
time.
boy.
It's just I think that it's going to be very interesting. It can be. I don't think I've seen a great alien invasion movie in a while. There hasn't really been.
Not really.
Yeah,
no.
a great. So I feel like Independence Day is like sort of the classic of that. That's like one of the best.
It set the
ones.
bar, and
Yeah,
it's
and
kind of kicked that bar.
nothing else has really done that well.
I feel like the last alien invasion movie I've seen was Avengers.
Yeah, there
I
you
mean
go.
that counts, but
That
not
counts.
but not quite. You know.
War of the World, Steven Spielberg.
War of the World. That
Yeah.
was good.
I think that was pretty. I like the
No
original
one
movie
liked it
better.
that it
Actually.
followed the actual book.
No.
Yeah, I think I actually like the original movie better, like the old one they
Yeah.
did.
But
I did, it
Independence
was
Day
good though.
set a high bar for that. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like that's probably one of the better alien invasion movies, and I feel like this one looks like it can do what the original one did, but
Mm.
bigger, and so that would be great if they can do that correctly. We also have a couple video game movies that are coming out here.
yes.
So we
Pixels.
have.
No.
Nope, that's not one of them.
Tron.
Nope, that's not.
I
it.
wish.
Okay, I have a couple listed here, and then there's I think those are the only ones I'm thinking of. We can start with the Warcraft.
Yes.
I honestly have played a little bit of Warcraft, not a ton of it,
Mhm.
and I know sort of the basic storyline. It'll be interesting to see how they do this because obviously, if you know anything about World of Warcraft, you know that their storyline is insane.
Yes.
And like there's Warcraft, which is like the original games 1, 2, and 3, and then there's the MMO that is still going. And
Forever.
they keep changing the story all the time in what's happening. So they could basically change a lot of things, and people won't. I don't think anyone will really be upset because it's like, well, it's it's all kind of weird anyway.
Here's one thing I'm gonna say. I will say just for this: the director is Duncan Jones,
Who's Duncan Jones?
David Bowie's son.
That's right. What hasn't he done other things or no?
He has also done Moon, which I haven't seen, but
I've
I've
heard
heard is
it's- yeah, I've
amazing.
heard it's really
Source Code.
Source Code I love.
Okay.
Source Code is actually one of my favorite movies.
And it's got
sci-fi.
another one, 2017, called Mute.
Yeah, that's exciting because
And everyone says they want to see a sequel to Moon 2 because it was so good.
yeah, I have to watch that one. But I think Source Code is such a great sci-fi movie. So I feel like this is definitely an easy thing that you can make a movie of, and I know that they've been trying to make it for at least like 6 years.
Yeah,
and,
it's been a long
and it's
time.
never quite happened. So it's like, oh, it's finally happening. You know, it's a pretty big deal. So that's something to watch out for sure.
And the trailers look good. It could finally be the first good live action video game movie. If they do it right.
There's not a lot that's out. Like I'm trying. Can you think of anything that you've seen?
Prince of Persia I thought was a good movie. It wasn't a
still
good
didn't see
video
that one.
game movie,
Yeah.
but it was a good movie. I thought.
It's like-
There's the 2 Tomb Raider movies, which were they're okay.
Yeah, they have the Tomb Raider stuff that's like, again, it's just kind of just a generic action
Yeah.
thing. It's not really a great Tomb Raider story. It's just kind of like a decent action movie.
Yeah. But yeah, there's Doom, which was kind of a horrible movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad ones for sure, especially like older, like 90s.
So
and
hopefully
80s
this
stuff.
can redeem it.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of great video games, but there are a lot that could be really good that are
Yeah.
coming up in general, including some more of these. One that I think looks actually the most promising to me, honestly, is the Ratchet and Clank.
Yes.
Because I think that it's so easy to do it right. So first off, you don't have to worry about translating anything to live action or anything like that. They're just doing completely, animation.
Mm-hmm.
The voice acting, of course, is the same. The animation style is like perfectly matched to what the game looks like. So it's really just like the game on a big screen. From what I've heard, I think they're kind of going back to sort of the origin story of that. Yeah. Which is again a kind of a cool, wacky sci-fi
Same voice
adventure.
cast.
Yeah.
Insomniac created the games, helped make the
Yeah,
movie.
it's like, I
mean,
think this is the
it pretty much
perfect-
wrote itself.
This is definitely the easiest one to do. All you have to do is be like, no, look, we're just gonna
Yeah.
kind of redo that first game, but in a movie.
If they mess this up, it's it's
it's
like
really tough because the acting is gonna be good. The writing is like the same as it was
Yeah.
when they wrote it, which was good. And it looks from all the trailers to be perfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly. If you like Ratchet and Clank, then there you go. It's gonna be exactly like playing Ratchet and Clank, but you can just watch it.
yeah.
And I think that's gonna be for a while that people are gonna
Mhm.
look at that and say that's perfect.
You know a movie I want to see that I saw a trailer for the other day that apparently came out last year, but it's coming out in the United States April 8th.
What's that?
It's called Hardcore Henry.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really actually do want to talk about this. So it's if anyone hasn't seen it yet, you should go look up the trailer right now. It's perfect. So basically, they've decided they wanted to do a movie shot entirely from first person, and it's basically like first person shooter the movie. The plot, from what I can tell, is sort of like a weird, like generic RoboCop thing, and then it's like
Mixed
turns
with Call of
into,
Duty.
and then it turns into like Call of Duty Taken thing, where it's like you took my, like he gets like run over or like hurt
Mhm.
or something, and then they have to rebuild him mechanically, so he has sort of like superhuman strength almost. And then someone comes in and kidnaps his wife, and he has to go after them. But it's all from his point of view, like completely. So like, the action in that movie looks perfect to me. Like he's like running around and like he'll do like a flip and he'll shoot, and it looks,
It's just so cool from first person.
Yeah,
and it's
because-
Russian.
it's Russian.
It's a Russian film.
Really?
Everybody's Russian. But yeah, it looks really interesting because the way they're doing it is, at least from the trailers that they've shown, is that he can't speak because they hadn't quite finished repairing him yet. So they said like, "What, your vocal box isn't working?" And he just kind of shakes his head, and so it's all kind of as if you're the person, and it's if he runs and turns, and it's like a camera is strapped to him.
It'll be interesting in either case. It's how
Yeah.
unique it is.
Exactly. Sometimes obviously I've heard there's been a lot of complaints of people being like, "Oh my goodness, I can't watch this without throwing up." And I was like, I understand that. If you're prone to motion sickness, then this movie's going to be awful for you. You probably shouldn't, because it looks like it's going to be mostly an action movie, and so all the action is going to be like actually flipping around and actually jumping. And but for me, like that trailer was like pretty awesome looking action shots in there. In terms of comic books, not comic books, in terms of movies, another one that people that I was not expecting to be interesting, but now I actually really want to go see. It is a video game movie, Angry Birds.
Yes.
That's one that I heard that they're making an Angry Birds movie, and I was confused. I was like, I guess they could write something. I don't know. I just didn't think it just like didn't excite me at all.
There's not really much of a story to
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And then I was like, all right, fine. And then it was like a year or two that passed, right? I think
Yeah,
before they announced
it's
it.
been a while.
And then I just was watching a movie one day in the theater, and I saw a trailer, and I was like, "What's this?" And then I recognized, wait a minute, that's one of the Angry Birds. And then the trailer went by, and I was like, "That's pretty funny, actually. I think this might be."
And every trailer, it's
It
like
looks
it's getting
cool.
more and
Yeah.
more. Like,
And
wow.
then I saw like the list at the end of the trailer. They showed a giant list of people's names, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, these are all really like."
And in their
funny
case,
people.
Rovio made the games, also helped make this movie. So I
Exactly.
think, as long as
And-
the company involved.
And this one is like almost the opposite case of Ratchet and Clank, where it's like they have so much they could do. They could, like you said, there isn't a story in the game, so they can kind of make up whatever they want.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is say, okay, let's write a good story. They don't have to be faithful to any adaptation of the game or whatever. They just have to
The
say,
base story
Yeah.
is the pigs steal the eggs.
exactly. So in some point in the movie, the pigs have to steal the eggs, and the birds will get angry and go after them and attack them.
That's it.
But other than that, you can do whatever you want. And
Yeah.
it seems like they have a good idea of what they want to do because it looks pretty good. Have you seen the trailers for that yet?
I've seen one of them, during
Yeah.
Zootopia.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, looks.
It actually looks really good.
Yeah.
I was very surprised because I was expecting to not want to see that
Mm.
at all. And then the last one that I know that's a video game that is coming out this year, which is surprising because I have only seen little bits of it. There's still not a
Yeah.
trailer for this at all yet, but the Assassin's Creed
Yes.
movie. So
Michael Fassbender.
yeah, I mean that's the reason that I am so excited for this is that Michael Fassbender is a great actor. One of my favorite things, actually, a lot of people didn't like the movie. What the heck was the name of the Alien prequel that we saw?
Prometheus.
Yeah,
Prometheus.
So I thought Prometheus was a pretty good
I
one.
liked
A
it.
lot of people did not like
Yeah.
Prometheus, especially apparently the fans of the original Alien movie.
Mhm.
I thought it was pretty good. But I think by far the best part of that movie was Michael Fassbender.
Oh, yeah.
Like android performance. It was really great. And after I saw the movie, I was like, who's this Michael Fassbender? And I started looking up. I've seen a bunch of movies that he's been in, and it's
Mhm.
always been great. So if he's leading this, then I feel like that's
I
perfect.
feel like we'd seen him before Prometheus in the first X-Men already.
I think, no, Prometheus was before X-Men.
I think so.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Or you
remember-
recognize him from Inglourious Basterds. I
Oh,
remember
yeah,
watching the
that's
movie
right, he
and you
was in-
recognize
That's
him.
right, he was in
That's
there.
why. But he was, yeah, that's right. He was great in that movie too. I love that movie. But basically, that's the reason I'm excited for it, and also because the just generic plot of Assassin's Creed is really interesting
It is.
because you can go a couple different directions with it. It seems like are they going back to it seems like the original, like maybe not the original story, but at least the original setting for the first one,
Kind of. It appears that way.
like Knights Templar in like that.
There's still
Renaissance-
some
yeah.
confusion on what they seem to allude at the game. This is part of almost the game universe, but
Yeah.
its own thing almost within that universe, which
Yeah.
essentially is the Assassin's Order versus the Knights Templar. And
Yeah, exactly. So, if anyone is still playing the Assassin's Creed games and hasn't finished yet, I'm just going to spoiler alert really quickly. But the interesting thing about that is, I wonder if they're going to stick to what they have in the Assassin's Creed universe of, like, the fact that they're just kind of going back in time almost, where he's, are they going to do that? Are they going to have the modern day showing at the same time as the past?
I'd like to
Or are
know.
they going to skip out? Because I feel like that could be. I feel like it works either way. They can do that, or they can just have it be entirely set in the past,
Yeah.
and not even mention the
Right.
not what are they called
The Animus.
Animus. They could do it without them, and it would still be. Or they can do that as kind of a twist ending. Like I could see that being a really, if you hadn't played the game and you didn't know that
Yeah.
stuff,
It
just
ends and
going
he
through,
just wakes up.
yeah,
and
just
And
going
some-
through the entire thing, and then he wakes up and he's in
And
Animus.
some
and
people argue the first game could have been even cooler. You just start out in the
Yeah.
past.
I think that would.
And
be
every once in a while
really
you used to see glitches. Like, I wonder what's up with that. And then you
Yeah.
wake up in the game and
Um,
that's.
great. Again, the reason that spoiler.
That'd be like
alert.
too much Matrix, I think, though.
Yeah.
Another spoiler if you haven't seen Source Code, but that's the reason that I love Source Code. When I saw Source Code, I had no idea what was happening, and then it was like, wait a minute, what? And he died, and then he went back, and then they just said, oh, don't worry, it's just a simulation, and then it turns out that he was actually dead, and it's like such an interesting idea. So I feel like if they could do something like that, where they just
Yeah.
they don't tell you what's going on, but you do see occasional glimpses of. It's like, wait a minute, what's that?
Mhm.
Doesn't look like it belongs in the past. What's happening? I feel like that could definitely work.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other movies that you guys know of that are coming out this year that you are excited for or interested in any way?
I'm not really excited for we should talk about Ghostbusters.
We probably should talk about Ghostbusters because it's a big deal and it's coming out fairly soon, I believe.
Yeah.
Um,
The trailer, I mean, as soon as they announced the cast, I was not too impressed with the cast.
I like some of the actors, but
Yeah.
for a Ghostbusters film,
I
No.
feel like they're pushing too hard on, and I talked about this a little while ago with someone, and basically it's like the original Ghostbusters. It's not that it like was a comedy. I mean, it basically is a comedy.
Yeah.
But it's not like it wasn't really trying to only be a comedy. Whereas it seems like that's what this one is. It seems like it's just trying to be funny, and that's all it's
Mhm.
going to try to be. It's going to try to be funny and ridiculous, and kind of that's it. I don't mind that they're doing an all-female cast. I think that's really
Yeah,
interesting.
it's interesting.
But I feel like they shouldn't have done they picked all people that are kind of similar. They're all SNL people who again I like, but I feel like
they're copies. They're like carbon copies of the original cast.
they're kind of they're trying to be at least, which is kind of a little bit too much. You know, I don't think that it's going to work the way that they think it will. I think that it could be a decent comedy, but I don't think it's going to be a very good Ghostbusters movie at all.
No, I don't think so.
No, and I don't. But again, I don't think that anyone thinks it's going to be. I think the people that are excited for this movie are just like, oh, that looks pretty funny. I'll go see that movie.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is like, oh man, this is going to be like Ghostbusters. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone's expecting that, and if they are, I think it's probably not going to be happy for them. So I think we all agree with that. Trav, you got anything else that you think that is coming out this year that interests you?
Besides comic movies that we already talked about, not really.
Yeah, I think that we've covered pretty much everything that's like the major releases.
I mean, there's
of
some
movies.
You get like Peach Dragon, some Disney.
Yeah, it's like Disney's
Oh,
doing a
yeah, I
ton
forgot
of
about
things.
that.
They have a bunch of stuff that's coming out next year and the year after with Beauty and the Beast. and all these
Spielberg
movies
got
are-
this one called the BFG. I'm not sure
Oh,
much
yeah.
about it.
I don't know a lot about that either.
That's
except
the one.
for
That's the last one that comes out on the same day as
BFG. Yeah, I've seen.
Independence
A
Day.
giant or
Yeah.
something? I don't know what. I don't know too much
Um,
the story.
Yeah, but it's interesting from what I've seen. And obviously Spielberg, so you
Yeah.
gotta at least pay attention to it for a minute if you're nothing
Yeah.
else. But that's one that could be doing. I know that. Have they set a release date? I know it's not this year, but have they set a release date for Ready Player One already?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, because that I know the story of that, and that's
Yeah.
really interesting to me. Just because you mentioned Spielberg, so I was just wondering if they have any.
And Christopher Nolan's working on something new, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I
what
heard.
it is.
I mean, and again, if any Christopher Nolan's
Yeah.
doing something, I'm in. I'll watch him because any of his stuff. Oh, that's right. The only one that I forgot to mention is Now You See Me.
Now You See Me
Part
Too.
Two.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that-
gonna be good.
Because I love that movie. I
Yeah.
think like when I first saw the movie and I heard it was coming out, I was like, oh, this looks really interesting. And then I saw the cast list and I was even more excited. And it pretty much did exactly what I wanted it to do,
Yes.
which is be like an interesting sort of mystery thriller type thing. Like it's like a whodunit almost, but it's also like but it also has magic tricks in it, which are always fun to try to watch and be like, oh, how'd they do that? And then they showed you how they did it, and it was and the cast is pretty much perfect.
And a lot of those were actual magic tricks that they told them enough of how to do it, but not like the complete
Yeah,
trick.
exactly. But I think just like Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine,
Mhm.
Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, and Dave Franco. I said James Franco, but he looks similar.
He
When
does
I look
look
at him,
similar.
he's like a younger James Franco for sure.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw his face, I'm like, he looks like he's related to James Franco, and he is. Before I even saw his name, I was like, that looks like it might be James Franco a little bit. And then in this one, as the only new people I know is Daniel Radcliffe is going to be in it playing Michael Caine's son, trying to get revenge, and that's kind of the main.
Is Michael Caine gonna be in it?
Yes, he is.
He is in it.
And so Daniel Radcliffe is like his son, and he's trying to help get revenge for what they did to his
And
father.
the girl, Lizzie Kaplan, she replaced the girl from the first movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they got rid of her. That's
I think
weird.
she's not playing the same character, but like
But like, there's gonna be a new girl.
Yeah.
I think she had to leave for some.
she's pregnant. Or
Yes,
something.
you got
Oh,
pregnant.
that's interesting. Wow. Okay. And then obviously Mark Ruffalo.
They
who,
could have worked with
uh,
that. They did that with Scarlett Johansson in Avengers.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made the movie for me was Mark Ruffalo
Yeah.
being like, I had no idea
Oh,
that
yeah.
he was actually the guy. The entire time I was like, just convinced. And then when they put that reveal, I was like, oh wow, that's the final twist of the movie that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And so I wonder what they're doing for this one, how they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I hope we see more of Mark Ruffalo because you didn't get to see actually that character. You got to see him pretending the whole
Yeah.
time and being like, obviously he is a detective, but that was kind of just part of his long game.
Mm-hmm.
So you never actually got to see him as a magician doing things. So it would be really interesting to see more of him.
Yep.
But I think that's all we got.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
sweet.
think that sounds good.
Thank you all for joining us. Episode 3. We'll figure it out. See you guys soon.
See ya.
Hopefully. Bye.